What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so we've been covering the Trump tariffs for a pretty good little while now, and all I'm simply doing is combating the corporate press narrative on this. And, they don't like putting out the narrative that, oh, these tariffs might actually work. They just keep telling you it's a tax on you. But, once again, folks, Trump's advisors say 50-plus countries have reached out for tariff talks with the White House. So, once again, proving that, yes, hopefully we get into some negotiations and they can work out some sort of a deal. But this is what it's meant to do. It's meant to promote talks. It's meant to promote negotiating with these countries to try to get them to remove their tariffs, because most of these are reciprocal. For the vast majority of the tariffs are reciprocal. What does that mean? That means we are reciprocating, if you will, because we were getting tariffed in the first place. So we just imposed the same tariffs on them. Or as Donald Trump says, at a discount. It is what it is, folks. And I just love how the corporate press narrative just keeps getting knocked down by themselves. But let's get into this right quick. Top administration officials said Sunday that more than 50 countries targeted by President Donald Trump's new tariffs have reached out to begin negotiations over the sweeping import taxes that have sent financial markets reeling, raised fears of a recession, and upended the global trading system. That is right, the Great Global Reset. The economic reset, the trade reset, if you will. The higher rates are set to be collected beginning Wednesday, ushering in a new era of economic uncertainty with no clear end in sight. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said unfair trade practices are not the kind of thing you can negotiate away in days or weeks. The United States, he said, must see what the countries offer and whether it's believable. Trump, who spent the weekend in Florida playing golf, posted online that we will win. Hang tough. It won't be easy. That is right. It won't be easy. His cabinet members and economic advisors were out in force Sunday defending the tariffs and downplaying the consequences for the global economy. Yes, because hang on. No, that's not what they've been doing. They've been countering the narrative from the mainstream news. That's what they've been doing, because once again, the mainstream news is pushing an agenda. They're pushing a narrative and not giving you all the information, right? I'm not saying the corporate press can't be biased. They have the right to be biased. But when they present themselves as the fact bringers and then they don't actually bring all the facts, then we have a problem, folks. And that is what my main job is. They manipulate the facts to push an agenda, and that's all they're doing. So, once again, I come in to say, no, that's not the only thing that's going to happen with tariffs, right? It would be stupid to impose tariffs if all it does is tax you. That would be absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think Donald Trump would do that. Once again, if this guy's the egotist that they claim he is, why would he do something that only makes him less popular? I'm just saying, think about that for a second. There doesn't have to be a recession. Who knows how the markets is going to react in a day, in a week, Bessent said. What we are looking at is building the long-term economic fundamentals for prosperity. That is right. We're going to have short-term pain for long-term gain, if you will. Once again, like I said in the last video, or like the other guy said in the last video, you can't build a manufacturing plant in a week. That is what Trump is doing. That is the purpose of these tariffs. There's multiple reasons for this, right? One is to bring back some manufacturing back to the United States. Another is to tax the corporations, for crying out loud. Another is to reset global trade, because NAFTA hasn't worked. It got out of hand. It put the United States at a disadvantage to every other country. And our markets have been just being chipped away and chipped away and chipped away for decades now. And Donald Trump sees this and says something has to be done. And he did it. Like, what else? What other solutions? That's the thing I don't get. These people, they don't ever offer any solutions in response to the fear-mongering, right? In response to the apocalypse, they don't offer anything but fear-mongering. That's it. Like, Donald Trump is actually proposing and implementing a possible solution, and all they can do is scream, the sky is falling. It's insane. Trump's tariff blitz announced April 2nd fulfilled a key campaign promise as he acted without Congress to redraw the rules of global trade. Once again, that would insinuate that he needs congressional approval to do this, and he doesn't. Manipulation, folks. It was a move decades in the making for Trump, who has long denounced foreign trade deals as unfair to the U.S. He is gambling that voters will be willing to endure higher prices for everyday items to enact his economic vision. Countries are scrambling to figure out how to respond to the tariffs, with China and others retaliating quickly. Top White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett has acknowledged that other countries are angry and retaliating, and, he said, by the way, coming to the table. He cited the Office of the U.S. Trade Representatives as reporting that more than 50 nations have reached out to the White House to begin talks. Adding to the turmoil, the new tariffs are hitting American allies and adversaries alike, including Israel, which is facing a 17% tariff. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to visit the White House Monday, with his office saying the tariffs would be a point of discussion with Trump, along with the war in Gaza and other issues. Another American ally, Vietnam. Hang on just a second. Vietnam is not an American ally. What? Like, that's just a blatant lie. Vietnam is a communist nation. We are not allied with any communist nations. That is just an absurd statement for them to make. Like, since when did Vietnam become an ally? Like, South Vietnam, when there was a South Vietnam, was an ally of the United States, but South Vietnam hasn't existed for a while, as a matter of fact. Another American ally, Vietnam, a major manufacturing center for clothing, has also been in touch with the administration about the tariffs. Yes, we covered this the other day. Trump said Vietnam's leader said in a telephone call that his country wants to cut their tariffs down to zero if they're able to make an agreement with the U.S. And a key European partner, Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni, said she disagreed with Trump's move but was ready to deploy all the tools, negotiating and economic, necessary to support our businesses and our sectors that may be penalized. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick made clear there was no postponing the tariffs that are days away. The tariffs are coming, of course he said, adding that Trump needed to reset global trade. But he committed only to having them definitely remain for days and weeks. Yet, I don't know why they would decide to phrase that in such a confusing manner, but they did. It is what it is. In Congress, where Trump's Republican Party has long championed free trade, the tariff regimen has been met with applause but also significant unease. Yeah, we do champion free trade, as a matter of fact, and we haven't had free trade for a very, very long time. Several Republican senators have already signed on to a bipartisan bill that would require presidents to justify new tariffs to Congress. Lawmakers would then have to approve the tariffs within 60 days or they would expire. Wyoming's John Barrasso, the number 2 member of the Senate's GOP leadership, said Trump is doing what he has every right to do, but he acknowledged there is concern, and there's concern across the country. People are watching the markets. There'll be a discussion in the Senate, Barrasso said of the tariffs. We'll see which way the discussion goes. Trump's government cost-cutting guru, billionaire businessman Elon Musk, has been relatively silent on Trump's tariffs, but said at a weekend event in Italy that he would like to see the U.S. and Europe move to a zero-tariff situation. The comment from the Tesla owner who leads Trump's Department of Government Efficiency drew a rebuke from White House trade advisor Peter Navarro. Okay. Sure. Let's see exactly what this rebuke is. Elon, when he is on his Doge lane, like, why did they phrase that way? When he is in his Doge lane, you mean? Is great, but we understand what's going on here. We just have to understand Elon sells cars, Navarro said. He added, he's simply protecting his own interest as any business person would do. Sorry about that. How is that a rebuke, by the way? That is just stating the obvious. That's not a rebuke. It's not a rebuttal. Like, what? See, once again, the corporate press, they try to narrative build. And it's BS. Lawrence Summers, an economist who was Treasury Secretary under Democratic President Bill Clinton, said Trump and his economic team are sending contradictory messages if they say they are interested in reviving manufacturing while still being open to negotiating with trade partners. If other countries eliminate their tariffs and the U.S. does too, he said, it's just making a deal. Then we don't raise any revenue, nor do we get any business to relocate to the United States. If it's a permanent revenue source and trying to get businesses to relocate to the United States, then we're going to have these tariffs permanently. So the president can't have it both ways. No, not unless they are multilateral tariffs. Like, there's several different reasons for this. Yes, both of those can be true at the same time, my guy, as I've explained several times. Did you notice that Trump implemented a bunch of different tariffs, like days apart from each other, leading up to April 2nd, and then he announced global tariffs? Wonder why he would do it that way. That's very interesting. The global tariffs are to work on negotiating free trade. Those other tariffs are to bring back manufacturing to this country. There you go, my guy. Like, this guy's not an idiot. These people know this, but they're just lying to you. Bassett was on NBC's Meet the Press. Hassett and Summers appeared on ABC's This Week. Lutnick and Barrasso were on CBS Face the Nation, and Navarro was interviewed on Fox News Channel's Sunday Morning Futures. Yeah, so they were all over the place pushing the narrative out, trying to combat the corporate press narrative, trying to combat that agenda that they are pushing, that it's the apocalypse, y'all, which is nonsense, in my opinion. We've shown time and time again what these tariffs are meant to do, right? Some of them are meant to bring back manufacturing, and some of them are meant to promote actual free trade. Like NAFTA, once again, like I always bring it back to, we worked out a specific deal between Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. But hang on just a second. Canada was still imposing tariffs on a lot of dairy products and several other key products that I can't seem to remember ever. And for some reason, still haven't gone to look up, even though I continue to talk about this. I apologize for that. I just don't remember exactly what those are, but I would go look those up. I will next time. I'm sorry. I will do that. But once again, we were supposed to have free trade, but we didn't, did we? No, we didn't. Sure, it wasn't, the dairy products was the main ones, but those tariffs were like 230, 270, 280% tariffs, for crying out loud. It's just ridiculous. And so Donald Trump sees that and was like, well, we're supposed to have free trade. We're not getting our free trade. So he retaliates. And what does Canada do? Who is not a good neighbor, by the way. They say, we're going to cut your lights off. Yeah, they threaten us with, as the left would put it, violence. Huh? Yeah, because cutting your electricity off, that's a violent act if you ask the left. Right? But they threaten us with cutting off electricity because they want their tariffs. It's insane. Right? You can juxtapose what Canada is doing as being the wrong thing to do and what Mexico is doing as being the right thing to do. Like, we've been working out pretty good deals with Mexico, and their tariffs are nil, pretty much, at this point. But they've also agreed to help out with border security. As a matter of fact, they've also agreed to combat the cartels in their own country. In conjunction with the United States, sure. Right? But that's how that works. You give something and you get something in return. But what is, Canada, what do? They say, yeah. They're acting like children because they're Trump deranged. That's their problem. But these people, they just can't seem to see the light for some reason. Is it that these people don't understand everything that I'm saying right now? Like, I'm not some genius, right? I'm just some average guy that happens to look at this stuff and sees like, okay, right? I'm not some guru. I'm not some economist guru. I'm not some political guru. I'm none of those things. And if I can see this, don't you think they can? Right? Like, I understand that these people are trying to push an agenda. It's not that they don't understand what's going on. And that's what pisses me off so much, is these people know the result of some of these tariffs. But yet they're trying to push an agenda anyway. And to me, that's nonsense, y'all. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Every time it blows my mind. Every single time it blows my mind. The lengths that the corporate press is willing to go to expose themselves, right, as being complete and utter buffoons on this. And I say that after just saying that they're not idiots. But they are buffoons because, once again, it's easy to look at this and see that they are pushing an agenda, which is stupid in my opinion. They're supposed to be the fact bringers, but they're just the narrative pushers. That's it. But y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.